This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you, we did it. Welcome in. We are live here on this Friday. Got you to the end of the week. Jam-packed show for you guys today. Appreciate you joining me here on A to Z and making A to Z part of your daily sports listen here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. Of course, I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Coming up on the show, we have news to get to with the Deshaun Watson suspension, or the resuspension, I should say. We'll discuss that as well. The Falcons get set for their second preseason game with these joint practices with the New York Jets, and a major shakeup in college football. All that and more coming up here today on the show. I appreciate you guys again joining me here on this Friday. Got to start, of course, with the Atlanta Braves last night as they pull out the victory over the New York Mets, 3-2 in a very tight, well-pitched game on both sides of the ledger. And you know, the Braves, again, just continued to show you that they don't quit. They are a team that will keep coming at you from a variety of different angles, and it has been something impressive to watch. You know, and we talked yesterday about how Michael Harris by Jim Bowden of The Athletic was labeled the most indispensable player on the Braves, and well, now we understand why. I mean, comes up last night with a huge hit. And look, I got to be honest, okay? And if you follow me on Twitter at Mark Zinno, I'm going to pat myself on the back here because I kind of called it and said it was a questionable call. The Braves got a huge bump and assist last night from Mets manager Buck Showalter. And let's kind of rewind to where things were, okay? It was through 6 innings. It was a 2-2 game. Max Fried comes out to start the 7th, ends up at 93 pitches. His final line, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 93 pitches. He gives up the home run to Kana, and that was really the only mistake that he made all evening long. He was fantastic. And on the flip side of the ledger, you're looking at, obviously, Jacob DeGrom, who was just mowing people down. I mean, through 6 innings, he had only thrown 73 pitches in the game, and he looked like he was going to be able to last into the 7th, if not the 8th. He had 9 strikeouts. He only gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. And to that point, you know, I only had 4 hits and 2 earned runs. But here's how it went down in that 7th inning. He ends up getting the first 2 guys in the inning rather easily. And then Vaughn Grissom comes to the plate. And Vaughn Grissom has an infield single. Just legs it out, and boom, there you go. This is when Buck Showalter makes the questionable decision. Because at that point, DeGrom had 93 pitches, or 95 pitches, was it? One or the other. And Buck Showalter goes to the mound and goes to get him in favor of Seth Lugo. And I tweeted out at the time last night that this was a dangerous call by Buck Showalter, open to a lot of second guessing. I think the word I used was ballsy. It was a ballsy move. Their best pitcher against the Braves' most dangerous hitter. And yes, folks, right now, Michael Harris is the Braves' most dangerous hitter. And people clap back at me. Oh, Harris is great. I don't know if he's the most dangerous hitter. No, he is the most dangerous hitter in that lineup right now, the way he has come through in recent games and recent weeks. And I just basically said, Braves have their most dangerous hitter coming up to the plate. I'd let my best pitcher face it. DeGrom did not show signs of fatigue. He did not show signs of slowing down. And he pulls DeGrom. Seth Lugo comes in. And then, boom, it is a base hit, what ended up being, I guess, a double, what they technically counted as a double. And Vaughn Grissom with an incredible base running job, sprinting around the bases, coming home, and boom, it's a 3-2 game. And the Braves never looked back. So they did exactly what they needed to do in this series, which was take 3 of 4. And let's just look at the big picture for a moment. But first, a word from our friends from BetOnline.net, the fastest and easiest way To check in on all your betting needs, find your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league. NFL upcoming, obviously Major League Baseball going on, NBA right around the corner, NHL, combat sports, esports, even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They've got you covered. Head to BetOnline today to use your mobile device and learn more about the action that's happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. So the big picture for the Atlanta Braves is right now they are 3.5 games back. And how big would it have been to be 3.5 versus 5.5? Well, it's huge because, again, we talked about this yesterday. 6 games is kind of the line of demarcation when you get to 2 weeks left and you have to make up ground. 6 games in 2 weeks, you need to go over 12, 13 games, like 666, and the other team needs to play like 333, somewhere in that range. So 8-4 versus 4-8, and that's how you make up that kind of delta to take over first place. So now they're at 3.5, and they've got 3 games left against each other. And oh, by the way, the Mets have the easier schedule by far. They play 2 other teams above 500, the Dodgers and the Brewers, and that's it. Everybody else they play is below 500 in some of the dregs of the league in Colorado and Pittsburgh and everybody else. So the Mets have the easier schedule. The Braves don't have a terribly hard schedule, but, and here's the kick in the pants, by the way, of the delay to the start of the season with the lockout and everything else. The Mets and Braves were slated to finish the season, at Truist Park for the final 3 games of the year. As it stands, the Braves have 3 more against Washington. The Mets have 3 more against the Nationals on the final, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the season, whatever it may be. But you get a real good feeling that those 3 games at Truist probably going to decide the NL East winner. Who knows? Maybe it won't. But, the Braves did their job in taking back a mental edge from the Mets and being able to get a game that DeGrom pitched. Talked about it yesterday again. I'm reiterating myself because it's so important for what the Braves were able to pull off. If the Mets win that game, man, they feel like they can't catch us. They can't catch us. But now they got a real shot. And now it's about playing good baseball the rest of the way out, taking care of business, and figuring out a way to overtake this thing. Because as I've told you guys repeatedly, if they can't win the division, you almost want to be the 3rd wild card. It's a much easier path through the postseason than what would be in front of them if they don't. So hats off to the Braves, man. I was super impressed, honestly, and I'll be 100% honest. I did not think they had it in them to win last night. I didn't bet on the game. I didn't touch it from that standpoint, but I just did not think that they had enough of it all to be able to, come back and win that game. I give them a ton of credit. That is a well-seasoned team, and they prove why they're going to be an incredibly tough out again in this postseason, and why they absolutely will be a force to be reckoned with as defending champs. So they got to get some starting pitching straightened, though. I think that's fair to say. After Fried, it's Kyle Wright. Look, Kyle Wright's been great numbers-wise, but I don't know if he's been as dominant as somebody like Strider. Morton has had great starts, but he hasn't been as consistent as somebody like Fried. They have a lot of questions beyond Max Fried in the rotation, and we'll see how they go. Now, let's not forget, by the way, they start a 3-game series with the Houston Astros today. And although they took 3 or 4, guess what? You're going to turn around and play another super tough opponent. This is a prime letdown spot, tonight's game. It really is. The Astros scored 21 runs yesterday. You got to be super, super careful in this spot here in reference to being able to stay on a hot streak and play well against good teams. Because remember, the knock was coming into this thing that they couldn't beat good teams. As it stands right now, they are 500 against teams above 500 on the year. I think they are now officially 26-26. Sounds about right. I think they were 23-25 coming in, took 3 or 4. So that's where they are right now against those teams, and it's a great first step for them. But let's see how they bounce back tonight, or how they come back tonight against the Houston Astros. All right, coming up next, the Deshaun Watson suspension isn't really the biggest problem with what happened yesterday. Some of these people need to learn just to shut up. That's next right here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta.